This is an amazing hand-built guitar by Nathan Wright in Tennessee. Now, I admittedly know very little about this guitar, but the opportunity came up for me to get this guitar last week when a friend who had custom ordered this guitar asked me if I would be interested in trading my Taylor AD17 and my Fender Player Acoustasonic Telecaster even for this. Now, those are two guitars I really liked, I really wanted to keep. I said in a video like 3 weeks ago that it'd be really hard for me to get rid of the Taylor, but when a hand-built boutique, incredibly beautiful maple J45 showed up in my life, I will always break towards boutique, and I think you guys probably should too. So let's talk about this guitar. First, talk about what this guitar is. This guitar is a beautiful J45. So this is a Gibson style guitar. It's a round shoulder, and where this is similar to a Gibson is that this is a Sitka spruce top. This is a 24 3/4 inch scale length. This is a ebony bridge, ebony fingerboard. It is open gear style tuners. Where this guitar begins to separate from most of the historical examples of a J45 is right here. Now, this is a beautiful maple back and sides. That's what first got me. The grain on the sides of the guitar, it is ribbony and it moves, and it's almost has this just kind of water feature to it, to where it just looks astounding to as the light moves and dances through it. And so that's why this guitar immediately captured my attention. Now, the second thing that really caught my attention is that while this is a Gibson style guitar, there are absolutely little fingerprints of Martin style, pre-war style guitars. Number one, there's a really beautiful volute on the back of the headstock, and if you know me, that's a thing that I will pay way more money for. If it's done well, I just think that a volute is a beautiful little detail. And I think one of the reasons why I love this guitar so much is that the volute and the maple are things that I get to see as a player, and they're not necessarily shown for everybody. They're the tiny little beautiful details that make this guitar amazing. Now, the other component about this guitar that is a little non-traditional is how the neck is attached. This is a bolt-on neck. Now, I have jumped the hurdle, and I would invite you to do it as well. The Martin purist, the Gibson purist will say only real guitars have dovetail joint necks, but this guitar is a bolt-on neck, and I am here for it. It is always better to have a two-way solution than a one-way solution. An example of a one-way solution is a nail or glue. An example of a two-way solution is a bolt or a machine thread. And so with this, in the life of a guitar, most guitars are going to need to have the neck off, maybe once, maybe twice. And so having the ability to take the neck off without having such a serious and invasive and expensive part of the guitar to undo a one-way solution like glue, I'm for. I think that that's a good idea. So this guitar also has maple binding on the front and back, and it's beautiful because it matches the back and sides, but it brings really good clarity. So with that said, I think what is good about this guitar, the construction is amazing, the materials are wonderful. I love the provenance of this. I love that this is a small builder. You're not going to see many others of them out there yet. This is a level of guitar that many people are going to find out about how good these are and how well they're priced, and they're going to flood to this. And I'm sorry if you're in line now waiting for one, but I just want to continue to point towards things that I think are really important and really great. There are tiny little details about this guitar that show that Nathan really knows what he's doing. I love how precise the rosette is, and I love that this guitar, it's a pretty nostalgic kind of guitar, but there are some things that are definitely pulled from that. I mentioned the volute. There's another thing on this guitar that's a very Martin kind of feature. Yes, Gibson did it, but it's a very Martin style, and that's the through saddle on the bridge here. So, with all of that said, I think this guitar is an incredible thing. It sounds amazing. It has so much low end and so much growl to the bass of this guitar. That is why this guitar is astounding to me. It feels like there's a subwoofer attached to this guitar, and you're hearing a frequency range that you're just not used to hearing in an acoustic guitar world. So for me, that's why I recorded all of this other playing with an Aston Origin, because that mic just comes alive with big, full, bassy guitars. And so that was a choice on me. with all that said, what's bad about this guitar? So for me, this guitar, the number one thing is that it didn't come with a hard case. This guitar is also a prototype. It wasn't necessarily intended to be sold. It was kind of some ideas working out. This guitar is also very lightly braced, and so because of that, Nathan has said, hey, don't put anything heavy, don't put mediums on this. Keep this at custom light or light. So this has lights on it now. It plays great. That's perfect for me. The shorter scale length lends it really well. Oh, I missed a good thing. The finish work on this is absolutely world class. I would put this up against any boutique finish. It is shocking. Nathan, incredible work. The finish work is better than Gibson. Now Gibson does amazing finishes, especially on their maple guitars, and this is the deepest of compliments. It's just an incredible finish. It is even and it is beautiful, and there's a lot of depth to it, but it's not overly thick. It doesn't feel like it's robbing any sound from the guitar, but it just brings to life all the wave and the movement in the guitar. So, all right, back to what's bad about this guitar. It didn't come with a case. It has a through saddle. That's a complicated decision for me for a lot of kinds of pickups. The headstock is very small. It's kind of a Henderson style. So if you know Wayne Henderson or E.J. Henderson, that's kind of their thing, that hourglass shape. I like it, but the strings are a little bit too close together. I haven't had it happen, but on similar kinds of guitars that I've had to this, sometimes you can get a little jangle, little noise when you're playing really resonant chords back there, and you would just have to put like a hair tie or a capo or something back behind the nut. But yeah, so those are my 2 or 3 main things against it. Now, it's always a gamble buying a small builder guitar, because in the world of guitars, there are factory-made guitars, then there are high-end factory-made guitars, then there are boutique guitars, and then above that you get into hand-built. But there's this little kind of eddy in that ecosystem in which there are the small hand-built guitars that aren't quite either doing it full-time or they're just a one-man shop. And that's where Nathan is, I think, right now. I think it's just him building guitars on his own. Now, this is an incredible first showing for that. But with that, there's always a bit of a gamble buying, a guitar of that quality of a single buyer. So I currently own a Paget Model 1. That's another guitar in that same kind of eddy in the ecosystem of guitar builders. I also have a House OM, a vintage OM, and I have this. And so, to me, there's always a gamble, but where other people see risk, I see deep reward. These guitars are incredible. They're worth way more than you can pay for them. Even if you were buying them straight from a small builder, you're gonna get, this is better than any Gibson off of the production line. It doesn't say Gibson on the headstock, and you have to figure out how much more you would pay to have that. But this guitar is absolutely a cannon and would stand up with any of that. So I don't want to say a price, because basically I'm in this guitar in the mid-2s, and I think that that's where, like my Husson Dalton TDM I bought for $2,000, my Waterloo I bought for $1,600. I think that if you want the most possible guitar, I think that finding small builders like this, and this guy, he's not far outside of Nashville, so if you're ever around Nashville, go check out Nathan. Wright, Lutherie. This is serial number 36, and I'm incredibly excited to own this guitar. I'm not confident. I don't think that this guitar will hang around with me forever, because I just don't need 15 guitars, but I jumped at the opportunity to have a guitar of this caliber, of this quality. It really is, and this is not hyperbole, it really is one of the best sounding acoustic guitars I have ever owned, ever played. It has so much bass, so much clarity. This is a perfect guitar for lots of people.